The Houston Rockets have Kevin Durant now, which is admittedly pretty cool, as they're going to try and battle the Oklahoma City Thunder at the top of the Western Conference and try and knock them off come playoff time. But Kevin Durant's trade to the Houston Rockets, I feel like people are very much realizing how much he's going to transform this offense, and he's going to step into a role as the guy that can hit that shot in the clutch, a go-to scorer. And of course, Kevin Durant is the epitome of that kind of player, and he's shown that over the years. But I feel like people aren't really understanding the magnitude at which Kevin Durant is going to completely warp the Houston Rockets offense for the better, and how his presence, even though he's not necessarily a playmaker, how his presence alone is going to rub off positively on Amen Thompson and Şengün. And specifically for Amen Thompson, he might be competing for a starting spot in the All-Star game come February. And I really don't think that, I'm not expecting anything less. Hello, my name is Dean Simon, and I love NBA basketball. I'm going to be covering all 30 teams on this channel throughout the season, so if you could hit that big red subscribe button down below, I would really, really appreciate it. Also, if you could turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the latest episodes, I would appreciate that as well. Okay, now that that's out of the way, Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets, along with, by the way, I don't want this to be undersold, with Dorian Finney-Smith coming over from the Lakers as a free agent signing. I feel like that's going to go down as maybe the most underrated signing of the 2025 offseason if we look back at things in March or April. But aside from Dorian Finney-Smith, Kevin Durant, of course, is going to be adding a complete other dimension to this Rockets offense thanks to his scoring, but his unbelievably efficient scoring at that. Because even though he's 36, going to be 37, I believe, next year, he had one of the most efficient seasons of any superstar caliber player in the NBA last year. I believe he finished with around a 62 or 63% true shooting percentage, averaged about 26 points on 43% shooting from three. Kevin Durant was unbelievable for a Phoenix Suns team that, of course, missed out on the play-in tournament. But KD, as a talent himself, I really do believe that if you stick him on a team like the Houston Rockets, where he's surrounded by defenders and that you give him options to hit guys for wide open catch and shoot threes, he can really be the catalyst that puts this Rockets team over the top. But I feel like it's going to be in some ways that like he's going to do this in some ways that people don't realize. And I feel like the first has to do with how he's going to play with Amen Thompson, how that chemistry is going to shake out between him, Şengün, and Amen Thompson. But the reason why I say this is because I feel like Amen Thompson is going to be able to play off of Kevin Durant wonderfully because he's such a versatile player, even though he's a guard that can also play the four at times if needed. He's just so versatile and multifaceted, and his agility and size and athleticism really allows him to wear so many hats for the Houston Rockets. He's going to be able to mesh well with with Kevin Durant for one simple reason, and that's because his athleticism that was previously mentioned allows him to be stationed in so many different areas on the offensive end of the floor. And I don't know if you watch a lot of Golden State Warriors games, but I certainly do, if you could tell from the everything about me. But Amen Thompson on the offensive end, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he could be likened to a very, very rich man, a Bill Gates, Gary Payton II, where with GP2, he's only about 6'1", 6'2", but his athleticism allows him to hang around the rim and act as if he's, again, a power forward, a center, and finishing drop off passes in the dunker spot. Amen Thompson is much of the same kind of caliber of player on the offensive end, again, without the ball in his hands. We obviously know what he can do when the ball is in his hands, but when Kevin Durant is operating, let's say in the mid range or out of the post, or he's isolating at the top of the key and he's getting a screen, Amen Thompson could be situated right under the basket on either side in either dunker spot, and he can score. I want to say at least 6 to 10 points a game just off of receiving drop off passes from guys like Kevin Durant, or if KD makes a pass to Şengün and then they make the extra pass to Amen Thompson under the basket. He could be the beneficiary of so many great looks because again, his springiness allows him to just go straight up for dunks off of passes like that. And I believe that Ime Udoka and the Rockets staff, they're going to be looking to place Amen Thompson in these situations where he can act more as a play finisher when Kevin Durant has the ball in his hands and he's looking to be a little bit more dominant with the rock. And this is going to be kind of a give and take too, because there's going to be plenty of times this season where Amen Thompson is in control of the possession, where things are designed for him to attack the basket again when he has the ball. But in the moments where KD is taken over, Amen Thompson can be ready to either sit in the dunker spot or fly in on the baseline for alley oop finishes, much like Gary Payton II and other players as well. But GP2 is really a guy that stands out because his height might not make you think it, but his athleticism, it really does allow him to play as a little big guy. At least that's what they call him over in San Francisco. As for Alperen Şengün, it's going to be a really interesting fit, very obviously put, but I feel like the end result is that this is going to allow Şengün to act as an offensive hub even more and kind of build himself up as an offensive hub, because when Kevin Durant is going to be on the floor, he's going to be demanding at least two players on the defensive end's attention at all times. So this just and this goes in with spacing and improved three-point shooting all around, because you imagine Jabari Smith Jr. is going to have more of a role. Dorian Finney-Smith, like I said, is going to play a huge part in this team. Maybe even guys like Reed Shepherd are going to receive promotions, and a guy like him is going to be depended upon to provide really great catch and shoot production. So with this revamped roster around Kevin Durant, which allows for him to excel as the kind of the dominant offensive option, even though we don't know Kevin Durant as the most elite playmaker of all time, and he's not really well known for getting his guys in great positions and setting them up and seeing the play all the way through by finishing with an assist, the Rockets are set up that he's going to be getting screens from huge centers like Alperen Şengün, like Steven Adams, and like Clint Capella, who signed a 3-year, $21 million deal with the Rockets as their tertiary center option, which is kind of crazy to think about. But regardless, Kevin Durant is going to be he's going to have an embarrassment of riches, let's say, with really good screen setters. And that's just going to allow him to get downhill even more. And it creates so many drive and kick opportunities. It creates opportunities to hit guys like Amen Thompson or even a Jabari Smith Jr. in the dunker spot. There are just so many different options for KD. And one of these guys that can benefit off of it the most is Şengün, because um, we've known for at least the past 2 years now that he's one of the more elite passing centers in the NBA, but it's just his scoring and his efficiency that's really going to need to have an uptick if he wants to become really a perennial all-star. Though he did make his first all-star team this past year, I feel like if he keeps putting up these kinds of statistics where it's maybe, let's say, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists throughout the next 6 or 7 years, that might not warrant all-star selections. So if Alperen Şengün is looking to become a better scorer or more reliable scorer, having a guy like Kevin Durant is going to be monumental for his development, because it might not necessarily end up with him getting more shot attempts, but it will certainly help his efficiency, because again, more defenders are going to be focused on one of the greatest offensive players of all time in KD. So it's going to leave Şengün more or less wide open under the basket a lot, or it's going to give him a lot of mismatches that he can take advantage of. There's definitely going to be openings for Alperen Şengün to up his efficiency and really prove himself as a true, basically a tertiary scoring option for the Houston Rockets, because this past year in the postseason, though Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks were still on this team, Şengün kind of struggled in the final games of the Rockets series against the Warriors. And of course, he had Draymond Green, completely all over him like white on rice for the entirety of the series. So I will cut him some slack there, being guarded by one of the greatest defenders ever for the entirety of a 7-game series. But Şengün really started to fade away and not be as impactful as a potential go-to scorer for the Houston Rockets. He was looked at as more of that Domantas Sabonis, Jokic type offensive hub, where he's just looking for cutters towards the rim, and he's looking for guys off of off-ball screens for threes. But he will be able to pick his spots very effectively in an offense that's led by Kevin Durant. And the hope is that KD is going to draw so much attention that it leaves Şengün open more often than not under the rim, or at least, like I said before, we'll get a couple of good switches. We'll get Şengün in good position against a smaller forward, let's say, with his back to the basket, and usually that ends up being a good thing for the Rockets most of the time. So really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to what Amen Thompson and Şengün can do with KD by their side. And for Thompson specifically, his ability to cut and and get to the rim with or without the ball and just put himself in great positions due to his athleticism, it's really going to come into play with KD on this team. And though he may not be able to get the assist numbers up, or maybe he will if Kevin Durant is looking to play a more catch and shoot type of role, Amen Thompson is really going to have an impactful season this year with Kevin Durant on the squad, not just on the offensive end, but on defense too, because this is going to allow Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant's presence, it's going to allow Amen Thompson to conserve a little bit more of his energy for the defensive end. And of course, he's burst onto the scene as one of the best pure defensive players in the NBA already at his age and going into his third NBA season. So with that being said, with Kevin Durant taking on the brunt of the responsibility on the offensive end, though he is a little bit older, it's not something that he can handle, and it's going to allow Amen Thompson to really build himself up even more and potentially be a guy that makes all defensive first team and is in the running for defensive player of the year. That's really the peak that Amen Thompson can hit, and it's why all these different talking heads and NBA pundits and writers are really buying into his stock because it seriously can go that high. I don't know if he's ever going to be in MVP conversations or anything of that nature, maybe until he develops a jump shot of some kind. But strictly due to his defense and his fast, quick twitch athleticism, he has potential to be a top 12 to 14 player in the NBA every single year, year in and year out. And he really could be competing for a starting spot in the 2026 All Star game come February because of it. But, anyways, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, please leave a comment, tell me what you think about Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün's potential now that KD has joined the squad. Also, subscribe. Again, we're trying to hit at least 500 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it if you could do so and turn on those post notifications. All right, I'll be back with another one very soon. See you guys.